We're out here on the lake this evening. If you couldn't tell, I've been struggling trying to keep my mind busy with things to do when it's not trapping season, and so figured it might be a good time to get some jugs out and show y'all how I run jugs, show you a setup and all. And so we just literally got 20 jugs out, just got them baited and put out, and we got one right here that's dancing pretty good. Let's see if it'll stand back up again for us. Well, he didn't want to show off, but he's on there. We had another one right over here that was that was popping up. I don't see a confirmed fish on there though, but we're up here. You can see in this cove it's got it's a big cove of flooded timber out here fishing with my dad, and it gets pretty deep out there in the center, 20-30 feet, and then as you come in close to the bank, obviously it gets shallower. So anyway, we got 20 jugs out, got them baited with anything. We got a few baited with catawba worms that I caught last summer and blanched, and then got some baited with just some chicken liver, and then some with some either beaver or coon liver and heart that has been working out pretty well. So anyway, we're gonna go see what we got on that line over there. Putting on as much of a show as he was a minute ago, but we let him. He stood it up a couple times, and we want to make sure, leave him and let him. We didn't come straight over just to make sure he was hooked. So I'll pass the camera off, and we'll see what we got. There's a tree right here in front of us. If we're neutral, we should be all right. It should be filming. There's a tree down there. I can feel it. Hopefully not just loosely wrapped around it. Don't need a net for that one, but he's a good starter.
Nice little fish.
I believe that's on my raccoon liver. So this is the first time I've ever saved the coon liver and beaver liver and all that. But it's a lot tougher than a chicken liver is. I like the way it holds up. That's one fish in the boat. We're gonna see how many more we can get. All right, looks like we got fish number 2 on. We've had a few that, oh, that one back over there is bouncing again. Let's see if I can catch it. I think it was that one. We've had a few that we've seen kind of bounce a time or two, and then they kind of go, Hallie, I'm zooming in too far, making you see it probably. There we go. Then they kind of go silent, but that one bounced a little while ago, and then it's kind of been quiet. This one's been bouncing pretty steady, so we're gonna come up here and see what this one's got on it.
Which one is it, the one on the right or left?
The one on the right. It's probably 15 minutes since we took the last one off, and we'll see what else we got. Another good eating size catfish. This one's actually with a catawba worm.
Huh.
Alright, coming up on another one. This one's cooking along pretty good. I don't know why this thing keeps... I know y'all want to see my pretty face, but... And this is one of my green ones, so it's anywhere from 10 to 15 feet, and that sucker just went slam under. Alright, I'm gonna hand the camera off, and let's see, maybe we got a good one. It's recording now.
All right, you ready? You better grab it.
Feels like a better one than the ones we've been pulling up. Oh.
It's hung on that hook there.
There we go.
Oh man, now we're talking. Now we're talking. Yeah, he's talking.
Still ain't the Mac Daddy we're looking for, but that's a nice fish right there.
That's a nice fish right there.
keep on going, see what else we get.
All right. Wow.
All right. This one had to work for this one. He was hung up in some treetops, I guess, down there. That's one of the downsides of having a long line and fishing around flooded timber. But I was able to work him loose, and that's more like what we like to see. That's another good one. So to finish this off here, I was going to show you how I make up my my jugs or my noodles, and it's pretty simple. It's a pool noodle for 94 cents. I take a 10-foot, I buy a 10-foot piece of 1-inch PVC and some tarred twine, tarred line. You get this at the fishing section and the catfishing section at Walmart. And I like some circle hooks. I use 4/0 eagle claw circle hooks. And what I do, I'll cut my PVC to 16-inch lengths, and then I'll cut my my noodle just over a foot long, because it winds up, you get 5 out of them, and if you cut them about 1.5 feet, you don't wind up with a little awkward piece. And I use 1 inch because I made a bunch to start with 3/4 inch PVC. And some of the noodles, it fit in there pretty snug, and some of them it was fairly loose. I also use some silicone as caulk, but you can get it in this little kind of easy to use dispenser. And so what I'll do, the reason I like the 1 inch, the 3/4 inch, I had some, even with the glue, that they would separate, and I had one noodle. I was out running jugs one evening and went to go pick them up, and picked up the noodle, and the pipe had come slam out and it was gone. And then I've had some others since then that as I pick them up, I can feel that noodle shift on them a little bit, and so I know it's loose, and so I don't use those because I know that fish pulls on it and that noodle's going to come right out. I'm going to lose my fish, lose my whole rig. So but the 1 inch PVC is a little bit, it's a very snug fit. You really got to force it on. But I like that because I don't feel like, I feel like it's less opportunity for losing anything. So I take my 16-inch piece of 1 inch PVC, 12-inch piece of noodle, and I take my silicone, this is all weather, and I just squeeze. I need to poke a hole in it. And then I'll just squeeze a little bit out around the top, all the way around in a circle. And then I'll also, this tube's about done, I'll also just smear a little bit kind of down along the pipe in a circle. And then I'll take my noodle, and I'll kind of, some of them you got to kind of twist and finagle to get on there good, and just twist it on. And like I said, I mean, you got to force it, and I try to watch and make sure it doesn't, because sometimes it'll catch and kind of start tearing the noodle. I try to avoid that, but I just force it all the way down until it's right at the tip, and there you go. You've got just 4 inches exposed. And then what I'll do is I'll just take my drill, and I'll drill a hole right, say 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch up from the bottom. And you can drill a hole all the way through both sides. Usually I just do it through one side. And I'll take my tarred line, and I try to use, when I started with just green and blue, and I'd use the green was my long line, so these were 10 foot plus, and the blue was my shorter line, so they were about 6 foot. And then I just started doing the orange because I found that color and thought it might show up better, because surprisingly, I can't remember, neither one of the blue or the green really show up that great if they get kind of off a little ways and got a little bit of a glare. So anyway, I got the orange now, and I haven't come up, I guess the moral of that story is I hadn't come up with what length my orange is going to be, but I don't measure out my line in any scientific way. I just know I'm about 6 feet tall, so my wingspan ought to be about 6 feet. So I'll go, that should be about 9. And I'll cut it off and I'll tie it on the bottom of my noodle. Then I'll take, especially on my long ones, for my 6-foot ones, I don't always put a weight, but especially on my 10-foot plus ones, I definitely put a weight. One thing I found is a lot of times you think if you just throw them out and they got the line on there that, you know, they'll unroll themselves. Well, they don't always do that. Even with a weight on there, they don't always do that, depending on how heavy the weight is. And I got some of these, I believe these are 1-ounce sinkers. And I'll just take it up. Let me tie about a foot or so, 18 inches up from. I don't measure anything. I just kind of eyeball it. But I'll tie me a knot on both sides just to kind of keep it in place. Oh, that didn't work out well. There we go. Should be all right. And then I'll take my hook, tie it on the end. I mean, these noodles are really simple to make. They're pretty cheap to make. I mean, I can't remember what these, you know, maybe $3.50 for a bag of hooks, or 6 hooks. You can buy this twine for, I don't know, $3-4. The noodles are 94 cents a piece at Walmart. Some places you can get them even cheaper than that after the summer. And then for a 10-foot piece of PVC, it's $4 or $5. I mean, they're pretty darn cheap to make. And that's it. And the plus of running, especially with these noodles, is for storage. You just wrap the line, hook it, and it's ready to go. It's simple to unhook. You don't deal with you don't have to deal with tangles and everything like that. But the jugging in general, and using these noodles is a pretty good way to catch a mess of fish, a good mess of fish, fairly quick. Like I said, I mean, you know, 2-3 hours, and we come back with 30 pounds of fish, which fillets out into a good mess of, you know, 2-gallon bags full of fish fillets. So it's a good way to really put some fish in the freezer, and it's a fun way to fish, especially with kids, because you know, you're not just sitting there watching the bobber, or you know, you can sit there and watch 20 lines all at one time, and you see that noodle start dipping and bobbing, and it's pretty exciting. I really enjoy it. And you don't have to have a boat. You need something, but I've run these things out of kayaks, and just get to it. It helps if you can get to a little bit less accessible spot. I've got a couple of spots on our lake that I can drive. It's way down some back roads, but I can drive back in there and put my kayak in pretty easy, and then just paddle out up in the cove and just start setting lines out, and you know, run them like that. So it's not something that you've got to have a boat. You just need a place to do it, and you need something to get out in the water, whether it's the John boat with a trolling motor, or a kayak, canoe, what have you. It's a pretty cheap and easy way to fish. You catch a lot of fish, and it's a lot of fun. You get the family involved. So anyway, it's really one of my more favorite things to do, and kind of that's how it's really simple. That's how I rig mine up. I use a variety of bait. Chicken livers, not my favorite, because they're not very sturdy. I know I've never used rooster livers, but I think they're more sturdy. Stay on the hook better. Usually if I get chicken livers, I'll try to take them out of the blood, put some garlic salt on them, and let them soak in that a little bit, and then I'll put them back in the jar, which I like the blood. But I'll also use cut bait. If I can catch some small brim or something like that, you know, I'll use live bait when I can, and then night crawlers even work, catawba worms. Like I said, I've started saving liver and hearts from stuff from trapping season, beavers, coons, and things like that, and chunking those up, and those have worked pretty darn well as well. So I haven't really tried any of the commercial catfish baits. Some of the shad and different things, but I'm sure they would work too. So, like I say, if you're interested in wanting to catch some catfish, want to have a good time, and you know, heck, you could rig up 20 noodles for less than it would cost you to get a pretty nice fishing rod, and I think you'll have a lot more fun. But that's just me. Anyway, that's I hope that's helpful. If you got any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments. Questions, comments, pointers. I'm always all ears on anything. We're ready to learn. So, but hope that's helpful, and hope y'all are enjoying your summer and catching lots of fish and thinking about trapping season, because it's coming up quick. I'm getting pretty excited myself. So y'all have a good evening.